Welcome to G.I. Joe RPG Stories. In this podcast, I present after-action reports from our Essence 20 campaign, played using the G.I. Joe Roleplaying Game by Renegade Game Studios. I am David Martel, the Game Master, and this is episode 101, Weapon Sales in Moldova. November 21st, 1986. Several months had passed since the attack on G.I. Joe headquarters. Given how easily the enemy had found and infiltrated the base, new security protocols had to be implemented. Beachhead was tasked with enforcing them, and they started with the addition of personnel. With new recruits arriving steadily, the selection process needed to be tightened. This was especially true since some of them had problematic histories. Knockout was a prime example since he had been with Cobra before joining the Joes. In the previous episode, Knockout had reacted violently when a Cobra officer recognized him. The officer claimed to carry a message from a man named Ruslan Tiernov. Years ago, the two had been close friends and teammates on the Soviet national rugby team before leaving for Cobra. Although he did not care to elaborate on the subject, Knockout mentioned that Tiernov was supposed to be dead. The outburst had raised some questions. To Beachhead, it looked like Knockout had silenced someone who could have shed light on his past. As for Max Power, being an officer fresh out of the slaughterhouse cut both ways. Sergeant Slaughter's private training grounds had a reputation. His background suggested toughness and discipline, but it could also point to severe disciplinary action. Beachhead would need to look into it, but for now, he wanted to see the officer's leadership skills in the field. Their objective was to clandestinely enter the port of Giurgiulesti in Moldova. They would monitor a weapons deal between an American smuggler using the alias John Smith and an unidentified member of the Soviet army. After landing in Romania, they met with agents of the local secret service. The meeting was brief and businesslike. Despite being a founding member of the Warsaw Pact and a communist dictatorship, Romania was not part of the Soviet Union. There was also a strong anti-Soviet sentiment, rooted in past political transgressions, and a burning desire to assert independence. Allowing US passage was therefore acceptable, given the right compensation, of course. The team then hit the road aboard an SUV, with low light at the wheel. They were headed to Galați, a few miles from the western border of Moldova. "Gentlemen," said Beachhead, "today you'll have a chance to prove to me that you've got what it takes to be Joes." He turned his gaze to Knockout, who was flexing his muscles. "I expect you to demonstrate finesse, subtlety, and to conduct your mission discreetly." "I don't do discreet," Knockout retorted bluntly. Beachhead did not appreciate the comment. He wanted to stop the vehicle and make him do hundreds of push-ups for his insubordination. But the man was strong as a bull, and they didn't have the time. "Well, if you prove me right, that's fine by me. We don't need an attitude problem." Seeing that the discussion was already taking a negative turn, Max Power intervened. "I am certain that this is a matter of language," he said. "I think Knockout simply wanted to warn you about the limits of his abilities." Beachhead let it go and pulled out a map of the area. The locations of possible access points were indicated on it. "We'll enter Moldova through the checkpoints, thanks to these diplomatic papers." He ended the passports provided by the Romanian Secret Service and then spoke directly to Knockout. "Since you're the only one who speaks Russian, you'll talk to the border guards." Knockout examined the passports and saw his photo. "Won't work," he said. Beachhead frowned and waited. He expected the renegade to explain his comment. "Care to elaborate?" "In Soviet Union, I am superstar," he said. "Guards will recognize me." Beachhead had underestimated how popular Knockout actually was in his country. Meanwhile, the bridge came into view. "Well, looks like we'll have to improvise," Beachhead said, glancing at a small fishing boat docked nearby. Moments later, after trading their SUV for the small boat, they realized that it could only hold 3 people. I hope you guys brought the other end, said Max Power with a mischievous grin. Because we'll be packed in like sardines. Beachhead raised an eyebrow. I'll coordinate the operation from here, he said. And besides, I don't trust the Romanian border agents to let you re-enter the country if you are pursued by the Soviets. Knockout, Lowlight, and Max Power then boarded the small boat and headed towards Moldova. They were accompanied by the rhythm of the waves and the ambient noise of port activities, which was becoming louder. Once on the other side, they disembarked and began walking toward the main loading area. Along the way, Lowlight climbed to the top of a crane to set up his sniper rifle. From there, he got a general view of their surroundings. There were no enemies in sight, only dock workers. As Knockout and Max Power moved closer, they observed numerous rectangular crates being loaded onto a vehicle marked Arbco Moving and Storage. The crates were covered in wine labels. Although wine was one of Moldova's main exports, they suspected that the crates contained something else entirely. While taking photos from the hiding place between the containers, they managed to capture a snapshot of the American and his contact. I've got eyes on our smuggler, Max Power said to Beachhead through his HTB. Do you know who the other one is? No idea, replied Max Power. Knockout took the camera to take a closer look. Boris Jimayev, he said nonchalantly. Soviet rugby coach. Loves money. Max Power relayed the information to Beachhead. Maybe Knockout's insight and previous relationship with the man could have some value. The officer then moved closer to get a better vantage point. He also wanted a chance to attach his tracker to the vehicle. He was able to get footage of Jimayev opening one of the alleged wine crates. It was, of course, filled with Soviet weaponry. However, the American smuggler seemed indifferent. He was more eager to get rid of the merchandise from his own cargo truck. As he pressured the dock workers to unload his crates faster, one of them tripped and dropped the crate on the ground. It burst open, revealing the contents. The crate contained firearms, but they were neither American nor Soviet. It was something completely different, weapons never seen before on the market. While Max Power was gone, Knockout heard a familiar voice behind him speaking in Russian. A common saying, which meant that although it's nice to visit, there's no place like home. The voice belonged to Colonel Ivan Brekhov, leader of the Oktober Guard, the Soviet equivalent of the G.I. Joe team. He was accompanied by heavy weapons specialist Stepan Horror-Show-Drukersky. Knockout had first met Brekhov back when he was still with Cobra. The guard had tried to bring the former rugby superstar back to the motherland, but the renegade was not ready to abandon the comfort that Cobra was providing, at least not at that time. Before replying, Knockout opened the microphone on his HTB so his team could hear the conversation. Although it was in Russian, Max Power realized what was happening and hurried back to his teammate. As he stealthily approached the newcomers, ready to intervene, Brekhov turned to address him in English. If I were you, Yankee, I would avoid sudden movement. Why? Asked the young officer with a smirk. You have a sniper trained on me? Brekhov gave a sly smile. No, but your friend in the crane should be worried. Upon hearing this, Lowlight instructed the Joes to switch to an open frequency. All right, woman, where are you? He said with his gravelly voice. Only in perfect location do I have you in my crosshairs, Mr. American, replied Daina, the Czechoslovakia-born sniper of the Oktober Guard. Lowlight scanned the horizon through a scope. When he glanced at another crane, he saw her. She was mockingly waving. Her Dragunov sniper rifle was already aiming at him. Lowlight was annoyed that he had missed her. How did you know we were coming? Asked Max Power. We did not, replied Brekhov. The KGB sent us here to arrest Boris Jimayev, and the American he is meeting for interrogation. Well, since our objective is to track the weapons to their destination, said Max Power, We can't let you take him. It appears that we are at an impasse, said Brekhov. At one point, Knockout noticed a new individual that he recognized, a Cobra assassin named Reaper, part of Zartan's dreadnoughts. He also knew that his presence meant that something was about to go down. As the Cobra assassin approached the exchange, the two snipers also spotted soldiers dressed in black arriving on the scene from the north. "We have incoming," said Lowlight. "Iron Grenadiers come," added Daina. Brekhov had tolerated the Joes for the sake of their semi-aligned objectives, but these intruders will need to be dealt with swiftly. "Mr. Beached," Brekhov said over the comms, "you help me fight these Iron Grenadiers, and we sort everything out after, da?" "I don't know what Iron Grenadiers are," replied Beached, "but you've got yourself a deal." Brekhov explained that some of these mercenaries had started showing up in Eastern Europe a couple of months earlier. They appeared to be working for Destro. Why the arms dealer would have troops in this part of the world still needed clarification, but for now, they had no time to waste. The Soviet went after Zhimayev, who was trying to flee in one of the cargo trucks, while Knockout quickly grappled John Smith, just as Reaper appeared behind the vehicle.
"I'm on your side, Knockout,"
Reaper said with a devious smile. "I am not with Cobra anymore," Knockout replied, frowning.
"Yes, I know. We want the same thing,"
Reaper said.
"I'm here to protect the man."
He almost sounded genuine. But when Smith saw the Cobra agent's face, he started panicking. "Do not listen to a word he says!" he shouted. "Take me with you! Take me now!" Knockout did not understand, but he would have answers later. As they moved away from the vehicle, Reaper grunted in frustration and lunged forward. He tried to break Knockout's hold with flashy martial arts move, but the big Russian was too strong and sent him stumbling on the ground. The Iron Grenadiers kept the pressure up, despite being pinned down by sniper fire. However, Knockout was still able to bring John Smith with him to the containers. Before leaving, Max Power was able to attach the tracker to the Obco truck. Maybe it could still serve some purpose. The Oktober Guard captured Zhimayev, and Brekhov allowed the Joes to leave with John Smith, even though this had not been their original plan. The small G.I. Joe team headed for the other side of the river. During the trip, they pressed the alleged John Smith for answers. "That guy was called Reaper. He's an assassin," he said nervously. "Yeah, that part we know," Max Power said. "But why did he want to kill you?" "Maybe there's a contract on my head," he replied, looking back toward the Moldovan shore. "Again? Why?" pressed Max Power. Understanding that he had no choice in the matter, the smuggler opened up. "My name isn't John Smith," he said. Knockout suppressed a laugh. That part was obvious. "My real name is Fred Broca, the 9th. I am part of the Fred series." "What does that mean?" Max Power asked. "We are Crimson Guardsmen, infiltrators, and we all look the same after surgery." Max Power exchanged a glance with Knockout. This was getting stranger by the minute. "So why is Cobra trying to kill you again?" Max Power asked. "I've been running a side operation for some time," Broca admitted. "Smuggling weapons, and Cobra usually turns a blind eye." "Usually?" Max Power pressed. "I stole an experimental shipment from Mars Industries, Destro's company. I knew I had to get rid of the weapons fast. And when you saw Reaper, that's why I begged you to take me. Leaving with you guys was the only chance I had to survive." Later, when Knockout and Max Power met with General Hawk to hand over their report, the general listened carefully, and then he laid back in his seat. "What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this room," he said, his expression grave. "Reaper is not who you think he is," Hawk said. His real name is Lone Wolf. He's one of ours. Max Power looked stunned. He's a G.I. Joe agent? Yes. He infiltrated the Dreadnoks a long time ago. Why weren't we told? Max Power asked. Need to know basis. I didn't know Lone Wolf was going to be on the scene. The intel didn't reach me in time. He paused and looked at both of them. This information is classified. You were never supposed to learn about this operation, so I'm ordering you both to keep it a secret. Is that understood? The two nodded. Good. Now get out of my office and forget this conversation ever happened. You have reached the end of this report. If you would like to know more but don't want to wait for the next episode to drop, you can visit my blog at gijoerpgstories.wordpress.com. Until next time, this is David Martel signing off.